Boom, it's your boy Big Baby Miller straight out of Brooklyn. You're watching True School Sports. Tune in, motherfucker.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT. I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. What's going on, guys? Now, this is my official Anthony Joshua Wladimir Klitschko post-fight review. I didn't get a chance to do this directly after the fight when I did my live reaction stream because I had to actually go to the Marlins game with some friends, and the Marlins lost, so, you know, shout out to the Marlins. But, yeah, this is my recap of the fight. Wanted to really dig into this because it was a rather interesting fight. You know, Anthony Joshua Klitschko, it was a fight where, you know, obviously the build-up, the event itself, you know, you had 90,000 people at Wembley Stadium. You know, it's not something you see every day in boxing. It's more of something you'd see in soccer. And it had a soccer, you know, atmosphere. And I gotta really give a lot of credit to Eddie Hearn for putting on the event. But as for the fight itself, you know, before this fight actually happened, for me personally, you know, but like when it was first announced, my initial thoughts when it was first announced was that Joshua was gonna spark Klitschko just because of the youth, size, strength, and you know, just everything he had going for him. And I didn't think Klitschko would really get up for it. Then as the fight kind of drew closer, and I saw Klitschko and his motivation, and I just saw that, you know, he looked more motivated than he did for the Fury fight. And on top of that, he didn't have any belts. He had a lot to prove. And for him, like I made videos about, it was a legacy fight, you know, because he's had a lot of fights where he might have fought in front of a big crowd, but the stage wasn't that big. People didn't really care about it because of the opponents, and because, you know, for the most part, Klitschko is boring to a lot of people. So Anthony Joshua, being the rising star that he is in boxing, with the 90,000 people in Wembley Stadium, with the backing of so many people, Anthony Joshua was going to represent that legacy fight for him, and a guy that people are just pegging to be the savior of heavyweight boxing. So it's a fight that I thought he would get up for, and then, you know, the fact that I went back and watched a couple fights of like Joshua, like the Dillian White fight, just knowing that, you know, he hasn't really fought anybody at that level, and Klitschko has that much experience and pedigree. You know, it wasn't going to be an easy task, and, you know, those first 4 rounds, you know, Anthony Joshua was winning. He won. I gave Joshua those first 4 rounds, but it wasn't like Joshua was thoroughly dominating or outclassing him in those first 4 rounds. He was landing punches, but Klitschko was, you know, he was gun shy. He wasn't really letting his hands go in those first 4 rounds. And then, you know, it was funny because the knock on Klitschko, even when he was champion, you know, when people said they could beat him, they said it was because of his chin. He didn't have a chin. He didn't have the toughness to accomplish a lot. That he wasn't tough. That he didn't have the chin. That didn't have what it took. And he got knocked down in that 5th round by Anthony Joshua, and it looked like that was going to be all she wrote. That this young, hungry, undefeated lion was just gonna get this guy out of there and ride off into the sunset with a rather dominant victory, a la Mike Tyson. But that's not what happened. What you saw was something out of a movie, in my opinion. You saw Klitschko get up off the canvas. You saw him survive round 5, and then you saw him in round 6 use a lot of that experience in the past. Get back to that jab. Start commanding that distance, and even in round 5, you know, towards the end of the round, he began to pick up some momentum, but he lost that round. In round 6, he built off of the momentum he got in the end of round 5, and he then began to start commanding the distance. So he started getting back to that jab, and before you knew it, he lined up Joshua with the 1-2. And Joshua, for the first time in his career, had been somewhere he's never been. Klitschko was able to ask Joshua a question, and that question was, you know, are you willing to go to the end of the earth, or do you have it in you to get up off this canvas and knock me out? That's the question he asked him with that knockdown. And from round 6 all the way to about round, I'm gonna say 10, you know, Klitschko was in firm control of the fight. He was landing a lot of hard jabs, a lot of right hands, hooks. You know, obviously for Klitschko, he was headhunting, and I believe that was his ultimate downfall. Had he went to the body more, he probably would have won this fight. But then in round 10, you saw Joshua begin to pick up the momentum again, and, you know, before you knew it, you know, Joshua had landed that uppercut. I believe it was round 11 that hurt Klitschko, and eventually he was able to get him out of there in what was an amazing heavyweight fight. And like I said, man, this fight, to me, I watched it sometimes and I felt like I was watching a movie. Not just because of the fight itself, but, you know, the entrance, the long ring walks, the long Wembley Stadium ring walk. It's not like a customary, 2-3 minute ring walk. This was a 5, 7, 8 minute ring walk. It was a spectacle, and when I was doing my live fight reaction stream, there was times where I was just quiet. I was in awe of the atmosphere of the event, of the setting, because we don't get it like that in boxing often. And for me, it was great as someone who loves and cares about the sport and the growth of it, to see 90,000 people, even though it's not in America, to see 90,000 people pay top dollar to watch these two fantastic heavyweights fight. I think it was definitely just a sight to see, and I was really happy about that. Anthony Joshua, I'm gonna make a video about this in a minute, but Anthony Joshua has put himself in a great position. The heavyweight division is definitely at a place now where, when you look at it, it's at a place now where we're coming into another golden age. Kind of like when you had the Holyfield era with Tyson and Bo and Holyfield and all those guys, Lennox Lewis. We're getting back to that because Anthony Joshua right now, he's the guy. Then you have the mega fight with Deontay Wilder. You have guys like Joseph Parker there. Luis Ortiz is still around. There's some good fights to be made in this heavyweight division, and I think this is the fight that is a catalyst for this next great era of heavyweight boxing. People have been asking for a long time. Especially in America. I know in the UK it's much different. Boxing is very, very much alive and well over there. But here in America, boxing it's almost like boxing doesn't even exist sometimes, because people, like, it's seldom that you hear people talking about boxing unless that's to do with Mayweather or Pacquiao. So I'm hoping that for me personally, for the American boxing scene and the health of it, that this is a catalyst for that people in America will start watching heavyweight boxing rather than the UFC. To be honest, I hope that Deontay Wilder does fight Anthony Joshua, because I know that'd be huge for America. The reason that boxing has declined so much here in America is, number one, we haven't had a heavyweight, a really great heavyweight in quite some time, and on top of that, the heavyweight boxing division, the heavyweight division, no disrespect to Klitschko, he's just been dominating it so much in the ring, and there really has been many people there to challenge him. And on top of that, he has a very laid back, very he's not Mike Tyson. He doesn't have a Mike Tyson personality. He doesn't have a Riddick Bowe personality. So he's not going to sell tickets for talking. So that's what it is. So I'm hoping that with Joshua coming back, Tyson Fury is also, if he can get back in the mix, I think that would be amazing for the division, because Tyson Fury, as far as I'm concerned, he's still the man at the division, because he beat Klitschko, and Klitschko's a lineal champion, and therefore he's the lineal champion. So I just hope, man, that we get to a point where the heavyweight division, and the heavyweight title has some value put back on its name, because at one point in time, the heavyweight title, being the heavyweight champion, being the heavyweight champion meant you were the baddest man on the planet, and it was the most coveted prize in all of sports. And now with all these titles, and we've kind of had a dull era of heavyweight boxing, I'm hoping that it gets back to that, because that will then in turn grow the sport of boxing. I think boxing, it starts at the heavyweight division, because that's the division that's the glamour division. That's the division that everybody, whether they're a sports fan or a boxing fan or not, they can always name at least one heavyweight. Everybody knows Muhammad Ali. Many people know George Foreman. A lot of people know Larry Holmes. A lot of people know Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, Lennox Lewis. People know these fighters, and there's just something about it. The great thing about the heavyweight division is there's always that one punch factor. And as far as this fight goes, is it the greatest heavyweight fight of all time? Absolutely not. I don't think it is. But is it going to go down as one of the greatest heavyweight fights? Is it going to go down in the lineage of many great heavyweight fights before? I think so. I think 10, 15, 20 years from now, we're going to look back on this Joshua Klitschko fight, and we're going to say, wow, that was one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. And I'm just happy. I can't really say much more than that. I'm really happy for the division. I'm happy for the fact that we're getting to a point now where heavyweight boxing is going to become relevant in mainstream, and I'm speaking from an American perspective. We're getting to a point now where very slowly but surely heavyweight boxing is going to be creep its way back into mainstream American boxing, or American media, mainstream American media, which is great, because whether Joshua says, and I know he just had I know he just sold 90,000 tickets at Wembley Stadium, and he can go there and he can fight and he can make stupid, ridiculous money. But at some point in time, Joshua will get that urge to come fight in America, because he strikes me as somebody who wants to kind of be like a global figure, kind of like Ali was. He's expressed interest to fight in his native of Nigeria in Africa. He's expressed interest to fight there. But at some point in time, he will get that itch to come to America if the money is right, and he already has TV deals here, so the money can be right for him. He will get that itch to, just like Ali, just like Bo, just like so many heavyweight greats before him. I guarantee you, Anthony Joshua will at some point in his career fight at Madison Square Garden one time. Maybe not Vegas, but Madison Square Garden. That seems like somewhere Joshua could fight. I feel like he's gonna fight there at one point. So many great heavyweight fights have happened there. Why wouldn't he, as a heavyweight champion and someone who's trying to be a heavyweight great, want to add his name to that long list of fighters who have fought there? So that's just my opinion. You can disagree with it, but as far as this fight goes, I think Joshua still has a lot to work on. Still, there are many parts in that fight for 3-4 rounds at a time where he was very tight upper body wise, and that's been a habit for him. Being that he's so big and has a muscle, a bodybuilder physique, it's probably a lot harder for him to loosen up in the ring. But for the first, even when he was landing on Klitschko, he was still very, very tight with his upper body. And I'm gonna tell you this: when he starts fighting guys who are more, I'm gonna say like, have more foot speed than Klitschko, because Klitschko is old. He doesn't have the foot speed he used to have, and he was never really that fast to begin with. Let's say if he were to fight a guy like, let's say, Deontay Wilder, although I don't like him and I think Joshua would beat him, has a lot of foot speed. That's where I feel like a guy like Deontay Wilder could capitalize on an Anthony Joshua, because Joshua has a tendency, and I've seen this not just in this fight, but in many fights before of his, that his upper body gets very tight, and his punches, he just can't extend all the way or like he wants to. His upper body movement, he needs to work on that. And I feel like Wilder could set up some good shots with his foot speed, because Joshua, like I said, he's very stiff at times. And I think 11 rounds with Wladimir Klitschko, just like 11 rounds with any fighter of that magnitude, will educate you. It'll teach you more than the other 18 fights did, when he was just hitting guys with one shot and they were just falling down. So I think it was good experience for him, and now he's going to be much tougher fighter to beat, because 11 rounds with Wladimir Klitschko does teach you something. It teaches you, the fact that in boxing there are ebbs and there are flows, that there are guys out there who will hit you back square in the mouth. And for Joshua, he hadn't really had too much of that in his career outside of Dillian White. So it was good for him to get that on that type of stage, to perform under that type of pressure, to get knocked down on the canvas, and then have to actually, be in a position where you could really lose the fight. That's going to make him a better fighter, and it's that type of experience that Deontay Wilder hasn't even had yet. And that's to me, that's what's going to separate him from Wilder. The fact that he's had that sort of education of like, okay, I got knocked down. This guy's, for the last 3-4 rounds, he's been really, for those 3 or 4 rounds that Klitschko was in control, he was outclassing Joshua in those 3 or 4 rounds, and Joshua really had to dig deep to a place he's never gone before, and God bless him, he was able to do it. So that's just my little review on the fight. I got other videos on other things I want to talk about, because I feel like for this fight, I can't just make a post-fight review and be done with it. There's a lot of different, there's a ripple effect that this fight's going to have on boxing. So I'll have a couple other videos coming out, but that's my review on the fight. I thought it was one of the greatest heavyweight fights we've had in quite some time. It's going to go down as one of the better heavyweight fights, one of the greatest heavyweight fights of all time. And when you look back at like this fight 10 years from now, I think you'll have no problems putting it up there with some of the other great fights that have happened in heavyweight history. And it was definitely the best heavyweight fight since at least Lennox Lewis versus Vitaly Klitschko. I think so. So let me know what you guys think. Anthony Joshua gets the 11th round stoppage against Wladimir Klitschko in a fight that was just surpassed my expectations and was just a treat to watch. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Take the time to subscribe, and you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.